So, hello everyone. It's Aisha Scott, and today we're here doing our Shero interview with Miss Kayla Gore. She is our September Shero of the Month from Memphis, Tennessee, also representing my sister's house, and we're so happy to have you.
Well,
So, I want to go.
thank you, Aisha, for having me today.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. So, I want to go ahead. I already said where you're from. So, are you born and raised Memphis,
Yes.
Tennessee?
So I'm born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee. I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona for almost a year, but yeah, I'm born and bred here.
Born and raised. So you're currently residing in Memphis, Tennessee.
Correct.
Okay. And how long have you been living with HIV?
I've been living with HIV maybe 13 years now.
13 years. And what made you get into this field? What made you want to start working with others, even being public with your status?
So for me, it was starting to do community work. I started working at an LGBT community center, and I had no idea that I would be working with people who were newly diagnosed, as well as people who had been diagnosed previously. I didn't know that that was going to be the capacity of my work. I thought I was going to be working at a community center, bridging the gap between the Black trans community and the LGBTQ community at whole. And having nothing to do with my status. But then I became a certified HIV tester here in the state of Tennessee, which afforded me the opportunity to start doing testing in my community. And I met a lot of people who were newly diagnosed through my work. So that's kind of like driven my work for the past 10 years.
Okay. And so you say you started in HIV testing, and what is it that you do now?
So right now we do testing referrals, we do peer-to-peer counseling, we do our tiny house project here at MSH, and we also do survival kits and hot meal Thursdays.
Nice. Okay. So just getting into, how you got started, or you just shared with me why you got started, but is there any people or anything that has really connected you to the work?
I would definitely say there have been a lot of people in my life throughout the years who've motivated me and kind of instilled in me that, I'm a survivor and I should be doing things that survivors do. And that's normally helping other people survive. So I credit a lot of the things that I do now today to a lot of people like Mildred Richards, may she rest in peace. People like, there's so many people I could actually name, but Mildred Richards is one of those people. She was a person who, on the day that I tested positive, she was one of the first people that I met who was living with HIV openly. So yeah, that's the person that I attribute me being a person who really wanted to just, adhere to the guidelines that I needed to follow with living a healthy life, and steering me in the direction of you have something to give to the community, and you're not done. So I would accredit a lot of things to her.
And so is that how we get my sister's house?
So we get to my sister's house because I saw a need. I saw a need because I was a transgender woman who was going through a transitional housing program, and I faced a lot of discrimination throughout that process. And then outside of transitional housing within organizations, there was also a great need for housing in general for people, because there were a lot of trans people were facing housing discrimination during COVID-19, when they were safer at home, mandates out, people didn't have any place to be safer at home, especially people living with HIV. So that's kind of what started the Tiny House Project and my sister's house, is us being able to have autonomy over the places that we live. And we've seen data that shows that people who are housed, who are safely housed, have a better health outcome. They're more adherent to their medication, they're adherent to making sure that they're staying abreast on their doctor's appointments. Housing is the key to a lot of things. And for trans people, housing is the key to security, as well as being able to access your health care.
really happy to hear you say that. I know recently people have been talking about the quality of life indicators and how housing has been added to that. And so now we get to that point where we want to see, how how does that happen? Like we see it's been added as an indicator, but how do we make this happen for everyone? So with my sister's house, you have that opportunity to be able to do that, and not just by getting people housed in apartments, but by actually building projects
Yeah.
by tiny homes. And can you talk a little bit about that for people who really don't know what that means when they hear tiny homes?
So our tiny homes aren't the tiniest of the tiny homes. Ours are probably the biggest of the tiny homes. Our smallest tiny house is 400 square feet. We have some that are 480. Um, we have some that are like 572. Now we have also some single family homes coming into our possession. So we're able to renovate those because tiny homes aren't for everyone. We have some people who need more space than 400 square feet. So we're trying to make sure that we're not, alienating anyone and putting them in small homes. But the tiny house project is just a mutual aid project that we started 2 years ago. To date, we've completed 5 homes and have 5 people housed. We're working on 3 houses now. And we also have some community green spaces throughout the city. So that the tiny house project has really evolved into a lot of different things. And I expect it to continue to evolve as people support it in many different ways. That's how we continue to evolve.
Okay, okay. And so are you taking donations for that year round?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a mutual aid project, and mutual aid means, people put it in and we distribute it throughout the community. And that could be through our tiny house project, that could be through our mutual aid fund, that could be through our bail fund, many different ways that they can support. And they can go to our website at www.mshmemphis.org, and it'll be a pop-up that will direct you to donate. And then you'll be able to donate to either our survival kits, the tiny house project, general operations. It'll give you a couple of different options, and it also gives you the options to become a sustaining donor. And those are the people that we really want to get, so we can kind of like plan ahead, because we know that we have that continued support.
Yes, nice, nice. And congratulations on building 5 homes. I know I read an article, and in the article I read, you had completed 1 and you had 2 that were pending. So
Yeah.
now you're 5 and you're going to do even more. And it's so great to hear that you're expanding past the tiny homes, because like you said, folks will need places if they want to expand their families.
Yes.
So we even get into, I know with my organization, we get into the reproductive justice, and that's also important to be able to house a family. So
our fiscal sponsor is a reproductive justice organization. So we're definitely tuned in to all, to making sure that people are taken care of holistically.
yes, nice. And congratulations again.
Thank you. You as well.
I want to ask about, future opportunities. Where do you see yourself going personally with your organization? What do you want to see happen? And, how can folks get involved?
Well, for one, they can volunteer locally. If they're here in Memphis, they can definitely reach me via our website, and they can sign up to volunteer. For me, I think completing the tiny house project, because our goal is 20, initially to finish 20 tiny homes, and to do some more research. We've just finished doing some research on the 5 people that are housed, just to see where we are. Are we hitting the mark? Are there things that we can be doing to improve? Things like that. But what I see is us completing the project, and then possibly working with other organizations and grassroots groups throughout the United States to be able to help people along the process of development. Because I believe in transitional housing and rapid rehousing, but I also believe in people having space. And sometimes for people living with HIV, people who have unique identities, being in an apartment complex may not be the best suit for those people, especially with us here down here in the South. Having a front yard and a backyard is also very much so healthy for a lot of people. And we've seen that with 3 of the 5 people, they love to be, working in their backyards, gardening and things like that, providing fresh produce for themselves and their neighbors. So I see the project like expanding beyond Memphis.
Nice. Yes. And there's so many other areas that need it. I know when I first heard about your tiny home project, and I heard about it in other places, but I guess this was one of the times where it really like stood out and kind of connected. And I was like, well, let me like just look up things. And I saw just in some areas where there was pushback and different things, and not for your project specifically that I saw, but just in general, tiny homes just has a pushback and what people think it means to have tiny homes. So
Right.
did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a part of what I want to be able to help people through that process in different localities. Like here in Memphis, we couldn't go to the city planning board and say we want to build a tiny home. We would have to there are different ways that you would go about the process of getting approval from the city or the county. Here, it's the county and the city would have to give you approval to build new structures. Your architectural plans have to be, approved, but there's different language that you would need to use in order to get it passed. Because when you say tiny homes, people start Googling and then they see different things. And they're like, I don't know if we want that in our city. And it's like, well, our tiny homes are a little different because we're building homes for grown people, one. And two, for people who we want to be able to expand and not to feel like they're enclosed in this really really small space. Like the 400 square feet units, really all of the 400 square feet units, the 480 square feet units, they have 14 feet vaulted ceilings. But it's not a very small space. It's 400 square feet of living space, but it's probably about maybe 700 square feet total space in the home. But yeah, so there's different ways that people can use the language to be able to get these things passed. That's what I want to be able to share with people in different places. Because yeah, you're right. People are like, no, we don't. A tiny house. Next to my big house? It's gonna look funny. It's gonna look different. Who are the people gonna be living in it and things like that? There's a lot that goes into the process.
Okay, nice. Thank you. You definitely educated me. This was really informative. I really love what you're doing. It is really exciting. And I see why you were like thrown in there for Shero of the Month consistently, because folks were like, no, like we want her to, like, we literally were getting people that wanted to see you and your work talked about. And it really is a good thing. And I definitely would love to see it expand. I know that it will. I know that what you want to happen will happen, because when things are needed and when they're good, they don't have any choice but to come to pass. It's just about getting through all your red tape and sometimes asserting yourself a certain way, but
it's a
you'll
relief.
get it.
Once you make it past the red tape part, once you get to being able to break ground and you see the slab going in and you see the walls being framed up, it starts to get more and more real. And then also being able to see the people's, their experience of seeing their home being built. It's a different experience as well altogether. So yes, it's a very liberating experience in so many different ways and like so many different times over throughout just one process.
Nice. Well, I definitely want to thank you for joining me. Thank you. I will make sure that all the links are available for people to get involved, for people to donate, so that we can see more articles of you doing your thing, because you are definitely doing your thing. And again, thank you.
Thank you.